Meryl is tough as nails. She comes from a military family where both her uncle, Colonel Campbell, and her father served. Colonel Campbell commanded Foxhound, the toughest military unit the world has ever seen, which greatly inspired Meryl. She pursued a military career herself and even went so far as to get a fake tattoo of Foxhound's fox symbol on her left shoulder to remind her of the kind of skill she wanted to achieve. Meryl is steadfast when it comes to completing a job. When Foxhound goes rogue and is led by Liquid to take over Shadow Moses Island, Meryl refuses to go along with the mutiny and is thrown in a cell because of it. This isn't the last time Meryl would put herself aside for what she believed was right, either. Today, we're talking all about Meryl and her transformation from rookie operative in Metal Gear Solid 1 to seasoned soldier in Metal Gear Solid 4. Heads up, this video will have spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 4. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Luffy and welcome to my channel. I talk video games and character analysis, so if that's your thing, subscribe and stick around. If you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member so that I can continue to bring these videos to you weekly. Special thanks to the Mad Cow for suggesting this topic. Let's hop into all things Meryl. Rookie Eyes, Metal Gear Solid 1.
That nervous glance, that scared look in your eyes. They're rookie's eyes if I ever saw them.
Meryl may have rookie eyes, but she's determined to prove herself when we meet her in 2005. Leading up to the Shadow Moses incident, Meryl has joined the unit she looked up to, Foxhound. Unfortunately for her, Foxhound isn't the unit Colonel Campbell used to lead anymore. They turn rogue with Liquid as their leader and take over Shadow Moses Island in a multi-step plan to establish themselves as a world power. Shadow Moses Island was a nuclear disposal facility, and Liquid planned to use the nukes stored on the island, along with the secret Metal Gear Rex, to threaten the world into complying with his demands. The soldiers on the island, the Genome Soldiers, had their nucleotides rearranged to closely resemble Big Bosses, making them super soldiers. Liquid used Psycho Mantis to mind control the Genome Soldiers into complying and acting as his standing army. Despite all the pressure to conform and join the Genome Soldiers in serving Liquid, Meryl resisted. She refused to follow Liquid's lead and was thrown into a cell for her defiance. This didn't get her down though, and Meryl spent her time working on her abs while she bided her time and waited for an opportunity to escape. Unbeknownst to Meryl, her employment on Shadow Moses was no happenstance. The higher-ups in Washington deployed her to Shadow Moses before the uprising to use as a pawn to manipulate Colonel Campbell into cooperating with their counterattack. They needed Colonel Campbell involved so that he could pull Snavid out of retirement. They also planned on turning Snavid into a bioweapon by injecting him with Fox Dye, a virus that targeted people with specific DNA and ended them. They need to ensure Campbell wouldn't let this part of the plan slip to Snavid, so they used Meryl to threaten him. Meryl's presence on Shadow Moses Island was both a blessing and a curse. Yes, she was used to pressure Colonel Campbell, but she was also able to help Snavid out during his mission. Meryl retrieved the PAL card from Armstead President Kenneth Baker and handed it off to Snavid. The PAL card was how Metal Gear Rex was activated and deactivated, so it's an important item. She also unlocked the cell where Snavid was talking to Decoy Octopus, then disguised as the DARPA chief. Unfortunately, her time on Shadow Moses wasn't all successes. She fell victim to Psycho Mantis's mind control and under his order almost ended her life. Snavid was able to defeat Psycho Mantis though and prevent Meryl from getting hurt. As the two continued their journey through Shadow Moses, however, Meryl was then shot by Sniper Wolf. Sniper Wolf used Meryl as bait, waiting for Snavid to come out from behind his cover to save Meryl so she could fire on him next. Despite her injury, Meryl warns Snavid not to try and save her.
The sniper's using me for bait to lure you out.
Snavid swallows the knee-jerk response to save Meryl and leaves to find a sniper rifle to challenge Sniper Wolf with. When he returns to return fire on her though, Meryl is missing. Meryl's taken into custody by Foxhound and her fate rests in Snavid's grizzled hands. When Snavid is captured too, Ocelot proposes they play a game.
When the pain becomes too great to bear, just give up and your suffering will end. Whatever you do, the girl's life is mine.
If Snavid can resist his interrogation without giving in to the pain, Meryl will survive. If Snavid admits he can't withstand the interrogation and asks for Ocelot to stop, then Ocelot will end Meryl. This is a choice left up to us, the player, though canonically, Snavid resisted the torture and Meryl survived. Meryl and Snavid are reunited after Snavid bare-knuckle brawls with Liquid and the two make a hasty escape from Shadow Moses' interior. The two then ride off together on a snowmobile to escape the island. When we first meet Meryl in Metal Gear Solid 1, she's a rookie and her only experience is the stories of Foxhound she's heard from Colonel Campbell. She doesn't let her inexperience slow her down, though. She escapes capture from Foxhound, endures a bullet wound from Sniper Wolf, and still has the strength and mental fortitude to help Snavid out in any way she can. She's more than earned her stripes by the end of MGS1. Seasoned Soldier, Metal Gear Solid 4.
You're all grown up.
Maybe it's because someone taught me well. A certain legendary hero who suddenly disappeared. You quit the unit. Me? I never gave up on you. Or on Foxhound.
Although Meryl ditches Snavid after Metal Gear Solid 1, he continues to be an inspiration for her and her career. When we meet back up with her 9 years later in Metal Gear Solid 4, she proudly wears the Foxhound patch on the front of her uniform, despite no longer being a part of Foxhound. Meryl is now in charge of Rat Patrol 01.
This is Rat Patrol Team 01. We're with the CID, one of the bodies investigating PMC activity.
The main conflict in MGS4 is centered around Ocelot. Ocelot has been possessed by Liquid, who wants to get his hands on Big Boss's body so he can use his DNA to shut down the Patriots' AI's SOP system. The Patriots' control is ever extending, and they've all but monopolized war with their SOP system. Soldiers can only fire weapons that their nanomachines approve of. Their nanomachines also dampen their emotions and control their hormones and adrenaline and make them more efficient soldiers. The Patriots' AIs must be stopped. The Liquid Ocelot has an ulterior motive. The story we're fed is that Liquid Ocelot wants to take control of the Patriots' SOP to turn all soldiers into soldiers for his army. This is all a ruse though, and Ocelot is only playing at being possessed. What he really wants to do is shut down SOP to free BB from his nanomachine-induced coma. Rat Patrol 01 is tasked with investigating PMCs, and when they report their findings about Liquid Ocelot, Meryl is flooded with soldiers to combat him. She uses her position and power to focus on taking Liquid Ocelot down. Each time Liquid Ocelot attempted to shut down SOP, all the soldiers operating under it lost their minds. Their nanomachines were no longer suppressing their emotions, and without the suppressant they couldn't handle the tragedy of war. Meryl and her team are also affected by this, though once SOP is back in place, she recovers her wits and presses on with her mission. Meryl never lets anything hold her back from doing what needs to be done, and that holds true throughout MGS4. For the final assault, Meryl and Snavid infiltrate Outer Haven, the warship Liquid Ocelot had set up to be his fortress. While aboard, Meryl is mind-controlled by Screaming Mantis, harkening back to when Psycho Mantis had done the same on Shadow Moses. Snavid handles this situation like he handled the last, and Meryl is autonomous once more. Meryl and Snavid split up, with Snavid going on to destroy the AI while Meryl fights off a wave of enemies. During this final push, Johnny confesses to Meryl and asks to marry her, which Meryl agrees to. Meryl's story ends with her wedding ceremony where she and Johnny are married. During Meryl's wedding, it's revealed that the Rat Patrol 01 were actually a Patriots-run unit. The Patriots were using Meryl to stop Ocelot, without destroying their SOP system. Though with the Patriots' AIs destroyed, this becomes a non-factor. The Patriots can no longer manipulate Meryl. It's interesting though that the 2 times we see Meryl, she's being manipulated behind the scenes. First in MGS1 when she's used to blackmail Colonel Campbell, and then in MGS4 by the Patriots. Meryl really comes into her own in Metal Gear Solid 4. She has her own objectives and is a leader to her unit, whereas in Metal Gear Solid 1, she's more of a support person to Snavid and his mission. Your thoughts? Something I see argued about online is Meryl's wedding to Johnny. Fans love it or they hate it. Personally, I love it. I feel like Johnny's silliness is a good match for how serious and headstrong Meryl is. Maybe Johnny can remind her to slow down and make time to laugh. I will admit though, it is a weird end for Meryl. She's such a tough character. Part of me wishes we would have seen her get a tough ending, though I do like she refused Johnny's proposal so she could propose herself. That's very Meryl. I was curious to know how y'all felt about her wedding, so we took a poll here on YouTube asking if you felt her wedding was a good ending for Meryl, or if she deserved a tougher ending. The majority of y'all voted her wedding was sweet, which is so sweet. In second place came the vote for Meryl to get her wedding and a tough ending though, which made me laugh. Maybe a Metal Gear could have attacked her wedding and they had to defeat it and then get married on the Metal Gear. Kick12121 commented, "It felt forced at first, but over time it's really settled in as a very nice ending for the character. My only gripe is the line, 'I always wanted to get married ever since I was a little girl.'" I think that's something that was unnecessary given the scene it was in, but it did add levity. This is how it was for me too. The first time I saw Meryl's wedding, I was annoyed about it because she says in MGS1 that she's not attracted to men, but her story ends with her marrying a man? It felt like a sloppy retcon of her character. Her marriage has really grown on me though, and if I had to choose someone for her, other than Mei Ling because they'd work well together too, I'd pick Johnny. He really can bring some levity to her life, and her marriage added levity to MGS4, like Kick said. Western Spy 3500 commented, "I thought the wedding was poetic. They won the war, and now is the time for peace and moving on with her life, with Johnny. For all the fighting she's gone through, she deserved a damn break." I'd never thought about it like that before. Meryl and Johnny's wedding really is symbolic of them winning the war, like Western said. Not only can Meryl and Johnny move on, but the rest of the MGS cast can too, as the Patriots have finally been defeated. XXJoeDog93XX commented, "Meryl marrying Johnny was stupid. But Kojima purposely made it stupid because he wanted to show people what would happen if they kept asking for Metal Gear Solid games, and they came out year after year. This is how I feel about most of MGS4. A lot of terrible things happen as if to say, be done with Metal Gear Solid. Not that Meryl getting married is terrible. At least she wasn't killed off like much of the MGS cast. It seems like the consensus is, at least in this poll, that y'all are happy Meryl was able to get married, but wish it was to someone other than Johnny. I get that. Johnny's a joke character. For me personally, I think Johnny can bring a lot of levity to Meryl's life, though he definitely needs to stop being a womanizer. Johnny staring at Mei Ling's butt just scenes before he proposes to Meryl is pretty gross. What did you think about Meryl's wedding in MGS4? Did you like it, or do you feel like her story should have closed in another way? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video. If you liked it, share it with someone who wants to know more about Metal Gear Solid lore. If you need more MGS content, check out my Patreon. I upload articles I write on upcoming videos or just thought pieces on MGS in general. You can also support me in the channel by becoming a channel member, or join us in Discord. We're always talking about MGS. More importantly than that though, please take care of yourself and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you.